Hi everyone, my name is Nina Goradia and I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. Today I want to talk about intellectual bypass. I've made a similar video, which I'll link here, and I want to expand on this today because it's a very interesting game that happens when we are intellectually bypassing and living in our minds. So first let's talk about what this is. This concept is based on people who grew up with maybe so much trauma that it became difficult to be staying in the body by keeping their awareness in the body. And so they weren't taught how to be with their emotions, how to feel difficult emotions. Face it, this is most of us. This is a very, very common phenomenon. And so what we do is we just try to survive our lives. We keep pushing the feelings down because we weren't taught any other alternative. We weren't given any resources of what to do with them or how to release them. So we keep doing that, and then it starts to become really uncomfortable to be living in the body by keeping the consciousness, the attention in the body, and living the way that we lived when we were children, which was just very, very expressive. You know, a baby will cry with everything that they have, and then that is what enables them to feel happiness and joy in the next moment. It's because they released all of it. But we're taught, okay, don't be like that, don't be like this, and we start pushing these things down, and these emotions get stuck because they're not getting expressed fully, and then our range of experience in life becomes more and more limited because of this. It's harder for us to just jump right from sadness to happiness the way that children can because of this. So with intellectual bypass, what often happens, the body's uncomfortable, so we start living in the conceptual mind. We start thinking about reality as a concept. So oftentimes the mind it's not necessarily in the moment, which is where the body is, which is where the emotions are. Of course, we have PTSD or stuck emotions. It's the old emotions that are stuck, and they can feel like, you know, we're seeing through the lens of these emotions. We're perceiving reality through them. So the more we clear our emotions, the more that we disprove thinking, you know, thoughts that are not true, we start experiencing more of a clarity in the screen through which we see the world. There's not so many filters, the filters of our various traumas and past perceptions based on these traumas. Things really start to open up. But what I want to say about intellectual bypass is oftentimes we don't know we're doing it. We're seeing through the filters of the mind's perceptions, which is based in a dualistic way of thinking, in duality. So the mind is designed to discriminate between yes and no, left and right, right and wrong. And it sees things in this way. And, you know, the heart sees things very different, like just an unconditional love for whatever's arising and acceptance for whatever's arising. And so, you know, we need both. I'm not saying that we throw out our minds and stop the discernment. That there's so many wonderful uses for the mind, especially in where to focus our attention, discernment, turning the mind upon itself for self-inquiry. These can be wonderful uses for the mind. But when the mind is taking over in a way that it's perceiving everything conceptually rather than through our direct experience, so I'm talking about in place of our direct experience, what can often happen is we start playing intellectual games that are helping us not feel our feelings, and it's just a survival mechanism. So I'm not saying that if you've been doing this for years that suddenly you just feel your most difficult traumas, that's going to be re-traumatizing. You want to slowly build the capacity to be able to do that. Resourcing techniques for expanding the emotional container, the emotional resiliency container in the body, and, you know, working various ways to bring your attention back into the body and start being able to tolerate more and more emotions. If you've had, you know, a huge history of trauma, you want to make sure you're working with a therapist so that you can just kind of dip your toes into the body, feel it out, work through some of it, release some of it, allow it to integrate, take a break, then come back. You want to do this slowly so that it's not overwhelming and so that it's not re-traumatizing. So when we are intellectually bypassing, we can get into these habits where we're very fixed in certain opinions that are, again, helping us not to feel. So say, like, for example, I needed a job, but I was claustrophobic, and the only one I could find was I had to take an elevator to get up there. Well, I might not be aware of where I feel the claustrophobia. I might even not be so aware that I even have it, depending on how protective my mind has become. And so I might immediately have a thought that arises. It just pops up in my head that says, I don't need that job. And do you see how that is a compensatory thought? It's not a thought that's really in reality. It's just helping me not feel the feeling. And so these are some of the risks with hyper-intellectualization at the expense of integrating the body experience within one's entire experience. So I just wanted to share this, and if this resonates for you, I know this was me. This was me most of my life, and it's taken a lot of work to come out of the mind and into the body. It's been a really rewarding experience. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, your comments, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for listening.